Hi guys, Lone Vik here, and today I'm sitting here, as you can see, with an empty table, but a lot of boxes here at my side, because this is not going to be a review video, this is not going to be a how to play video, this is going to be a completely different rant on my behalf, and I'm going to be talking about the roll and write games. Well, not only roll and write games, but let's call them like that. So games in which you have to write on something which stuck in my collection. Now, I went through a lot of roll and write games because I kind of discovered this genre pretty recently. I know you might say that it's, well, better late than never, right? At least. But as soon as I discovered it, I started looking for more and more games and started going to Kickstarters and started digging up things that I missed earlier when it comes to roll and writes, and some of them stuck with me. Some of them I let go and got rid of from my collection. I won't be talking about those because I don't want to make bad PR for any titles, but I'm gonna tell you which titles stuck with me and why, in my opinion. Over the course of the next few minutes or few dozen minutes, I will tell you about eight boxes. You can see them over here. I don't know if you can see all of them, but some of them you can already guess what they are. And well, I'll share with you, or try to share you my honest opinion. It will not be a review, but just a quick overview of why I like those games and why I kept them in my home, in my collection, which is constantly growing. And since I have a limited amount of room, I have to filter out the games that I feel that are kind of not up to par. So I will tell you why those stayed. If you like what I'm doing on this channel of mine, Lone Vik, and if you would like to support what I'm doing here, you can always, click the like button, subscribe is below the video, the notification bell is there as well, and if you have your own favorite roll and write games, or any games in which you have to write on paper and do things with a pen, pencil, whatever, you can share your opinions in the comments about the titles that I'll be talking about, or about your favorites. And maybe I forgot about some titles, maybe I've missed some and I have no idea that they exist and you would like to recommend them to me. And well, we'll see where this gets me. So let us start. And we will start from the smallest games to the biggest games, let's say. And the smallest one, the first one that I'm going to be talking about is this. This is Railroad Ink Challenge. And this edition that I'm holding in my hands is the lush green edition. And I'm aware that there is an orange or yellow edition as well in this kind of series, but there were a few variations of this game already. Now, this box includes as I'm reading here, the expansions Forests and Trails as well. And this is basically a little tiny compact game, and I love it basically first and foremost for its compactness. You can take it in your pocket everywhere you go, and I'm taking it on my business trips. I'm taking it when we're going somewhere together and we need something to play very quickly, and this is the most compact game in my collection. Definitely, I don't have a game that comes in a smaller package in my house right now that delivers this amount of fun as well. So now inside, this is a roll and write game in its whole definition, because you have dice that you roll and you've got those dry erase boards that you write on. So all of the requirements for this to be named roll and write are there, right? And this is a game about basically placing grids of railroads and roads that you roll out on the dice on this sheet of yours, and then you score points for arranging this in the most efficient way, right? Now, I can't say that the random factor in this game isn't huge, because everything is decided by the roll of the die, basically, and well, sometimes you won't get the combination that you need on those 4 dice that are the base of the game here. You won't get the combination that you need, really, but you have those special routes that you can use, you have the buildings that you can activate that give you some bonuses, you can score points in very different ways, you can plan ahead, so it's not a totally random game. The appeal for me in this game is definitely its compactness as I've already mentioned, but also the simplicity of the rules when it comes to their explanation, because these rules are very, very simple to explain. It takes me right now 5 minutes max to introduce a new person into this game. It's just seriously like telling about the roads that you have and the types of buildings that you can activate, and there are only 3, and then what points you get and for what at the end of the game, and you can start playing it from scratch. It's a game for 1, 2, 3, 4 people. You've got 4 boards, and the rulebook, as you can see, is this big, so it's definitely a testimony to how light the rules are. But what is most important, it's not boring, because depending on the roll of the die, you create totally new networks every single time. You can't basically go into this game and have a ready-made tactic to win every single time, because the dice change the landscape from game to game. Additionally, the solo mode is so easy to set up and play with very few changes to the rules that you know from the multiplayer games, and it basically doesn't have an automa or something. You're just racing against time because you have goals that you have to achieve before a certain number of rounds in order to, you know, finish the game. So it's basically a puzzle game when it comes to the solo. It becomes a really puzzly kind of solo game, and I love puzzles myself. I love puzzles, so for me this is a great solo brain teaser for like 30 minutes tops, when you have time to play. And honestly, these dice with those add-ons of those trails and forests, I have no idea whether I've used them in a multiplayer game yet. We've had a lot of fun with the base game and those 4 basic dice, but I've added those additional green dice into the solo mode, and it gives you more options, it gives you more variations to what you can do on the board. It makes the board a bit more attractive when it's finished. So there is a lot of replayability and a lot of gameplay in a small box like this. So if you can find, or if you've been hesitating whether to pull the trigger on Railroad Ink Challenge, then I would definitely recommend it. It has my full endorsement. If you are looking for a quick game to play solo, or a quick game to set up with a few people as a multiplayer game where you have to, you know, roll some dice, write some symbols, and you don't have to have any art talent to do that because those symbols are very simplistic, it's definitely a nice alternative or a nice option to look into. Okay, so box number 1 is done, and I'll place it back here so that the decor doesn't change really, and I will draw box number 2 right now from here, and this is from Eagle Gryphon Games, and this is called Fleet the Dice Game. And honestly, Eagle Gryphon Games is usually associated with those gigantic big boxes from Lacerda, mostly, like Kanban or On Mars or Lisboa or Escape Plan and whatnot. And I'm waiting for Weather Machine right now as well, excited to see this game come up. And then Eagle Gryphon Games just poof comes out with Fleet, which is a roll and write game again by definition, because you roll your dice, you mark things on these sheets that you have over here. So like this is one set and the second set of sheets that you use in a game usually, right? And then you have the Dicey Waters expansion as well, which adds an additional tiny sheet with with 8 shops that you can use with the game, that adds some more replayability to it. And apart from the sheets, you basically have the dice, a few tokens, and that's it. And that's a few cards, and that's the whole game. So again, a compact package, very easy and very brisk setup. The rules are a bit more complex than Railroad Ink Challenge, definitely, because there are a few types of resources which you catch on this sheet, like the lobsters and the shrimp and the cod and the swordfish and the oysters. And then there are the buildings and the market and the harbor fields, which have different effects. And you have to explain all of them to the players before you start playing, because there are a lot of dependencies between one sheet and the other, and so forth and so on. It's definitely a bit more ambitious, but still not a very heavy game when it comes to the complexity. It's still something that after 10-15 minutes of absorbing everything, you can figure out how to play and get on with your tactic. It's still something of a game where you can't come into with one ready-made tactic to playing, because, well, every round is decided with the roll of the dice, right? So you have to adjust every single time, and you have to make the most of every situation, which has its pros and which has its cons as well. But I won't be talking about this too much. But still, it's a very cool game that I like to whip out also for the solo mode when I have a free half an hour, 40 minutes tops for this. So this is Fleet the Dice game, and it's stuck with me. Now, let's go to a bigger box right now, and one of my all-time favorites when it comes to roll and write games. This is not a roll and write game because you have no dice, you have cards, so this will be a draft and write game probably, or something like that. Is definitely Cartographers, and especially the Heroes variant from Thunderworks Games. And now I very much adore Cartographers, not only for the fact that they are so colorful. Let me just take out an example. Check out how these maps look like at the end of the game, where you have all the colors of all of those terrains. Here's, you know, the crayon variant of some of my players drawing this in crayon instead of markers or anything. So it's very colorful, it's very attractive. It's a very easy set of rules, but very dynamically changing situation, especially because there are so many map packs that you can get. Apart from the standard one that you get in the Cartographers box, you can now add additional 6 map packs. And I have 5 of them. The 6th one is in the mail, so this is a testimony of how declared I am to this game. So I've got the Frozen Expanse, I've got the Hornhelm over here, not played even once yet. I've got all the three ones that you could get during the Kickstarter campaign initially for this game. So Afril, Neblis, and I don't remember the third name right now from the top of my head, and I won't be looking in it for that. But I think that the most important thing about this game is that you can play it with any number of players. You can play it solo, you can play it with 2 players, you can play it with 4, you can play it with 6. Once I even led a game of 40 players, 40 or 41, something around that, 41 people, more than 40 people gathered in a room, each one with their own sheet, and me with a whiteboard drawing the symbols from the cards so that everybody can see them, because it was low tech. I didn't have any multimedia projectors or something like that. And everyone was having fun and everyone was enjoying themselves. And it was a very cool experience for me to lead a game for so many people, where usually you have 4 people in a room or 6 maximum or something like that. And here you had a whole crowd and everybody was doing the same thing and everybody was enjoying themselves. And this shows the power of the simplicity and the design of Cartographers. Heroes in this edition, even without the heroes, the Cartographers is a great game that will definitely be in my collection for a long time. Okay, so let's close this lid on Cartographers, and well, hopefully this convinced you to get interested in this game. Thunderworks Games, thank you for this very much. This is a great design. And once I took out this box, you could see what's behind it. And seriously, I think that this is my favorite box when it comes to roll and write games. And again, you've got dice, you've got writing, so this is a roll and write 110%. This is Dinosaur Island, Roar and Write. and this is from Pandasaurus Games. This is a small brother of Dinosaur Island, the big game that they popped out on Kickstarter with. And why I love this title? Maybe it has player limitation for 1 to 4 players, unlike Cartographers. Maybe it can be a bit simple for a lot of people and it has not too much variation, but I disagree, to be honest. When you add the experts and the buildings, different ones for every game, then there is definitely some changes to the style of play that you are going to. But we've noticed that every player that we have around the table after a few games already has some kind of a tactic for building out their dino parks in a certain fashion. But this is basically, you know, their choice, right? So like, for example, here you've got a finished dino park already done, one of many that we did. But what I love about this game is how theme related it is. That unlike in all of those games where the theme is a bit artificial, maybe in Cartographers you are just placing forests and mountains and everything, but of course, yeah, you're the cartographers who are mapping out a kingdom, but you know, you get those terrains from cards. There is not too much backstory behind it. Fleet, you're catching fish, obviously, but it's more just, you know, marking things on the map, on the cards, and that's it. And in Railroad Ink Challenge, you're just making a puzzle with connecting roads. So the theme is there to explain how the game looks like, but it's not that well connected, maybe, that strongly connected with what you're doing on the board. But here, the theme is here. You are definitely designing a park. You're placing buildings, you're placing dinos in the enclosures, you're connecting those buildings with roads, you're hiring specialists, you're building attractions, roller coasters and shops and everything. You're collecting money, you're collecting DNA, you're spending this DNA, you're spending the money, you're doing everything that's in Jurassic Park, basically, that's connected with Dinosaur Island. You're doing this here, and this is why it's so cool. The production value is also great. The chunky dice, the erasers in the shapes of dinosaurs. I said it in my review already, so I'll skip that. I won't be going about this too much. But what I also love is that they came out with an app for this game that you can download, which replaces the paper sheets. So right now I've been experimenting with playing on my iPad, with using the iPad and the components from this box to play the game instead of wasting the paper here, and it's very cool. But one word of warning: 2 or 3 times we managed to notice that the app doesn't sum up all of the points when it comes to scoring the end game, so double check your scoring if you're using the app. Hopefully this bug will be or has already been fixed, but I've noticed it. I've even reported it 1 or 2 times, but still they have the electronic version for this. Cartographers has a separate app that you can play just on a mobile phone without buying the game. This app requires you to have the game, but it's just like an assistant app for organizing everything. But still, when it comes to the theme connection to what you're doing in a roll and write game, this one is my definite favorite, and I can't recommend it enough if you want a roll and write game that's themed and that's very strong when it comes to how it emanates and replicates the theme of the game. I will put this away very quickly because I'm just like kind of unpacking it for a very slight show and tell. As you can see, I'm not going through all of the components and everything here. Okay, sorry for the noise. And now a very young child in my collection. I know that this game is not from this year. I caught on it pretty late, but I love her older brother because I like games that have Tetris elements in it, and this is The Isle of Cats Explore and Draw. And I've already mentioned during a few how-to-plays and during a few reviews that I like games that have a puzzle element, especially when it comes to a spatial puzzle. So when you have to place some weird shapes that have to fit together and score together and so forth and so on. So I won't be going through all the titles that I like in this department, but this is why I got Explore and Draw, because I enjoy Isle of Cats a lot. to be honest, and I like this element, but Isle of Cats can be a bit big and a bit cumbersome sometimes. When you're playing with 6 players, it can require a lot of room on the table to spread out all those Tetris blocks and all those ships and all those boards and the cards and everything. And right now, with all the expansions that I have from Kickstarter, it's a bit unwieldy with a big box. And this is the small alternative that gives almost the same experience, to be honest. So you basically have everything minimized, and you can check my how to play video on my channel to find out how you play this game, and it's the shortest one I've ever made. It's 15 minutes long of a how to play video, so all the other ones on my channel are way longer than that. You have a deck of cards with the cats that you will be selecting from. You've got your markers to mark the cats on the dry erased boats, right? And finally, you've got the dry erased boats on which you'll be marking the cats like in the normal Isle of Cats game, but instead of the Tetris blocks, you'll be just putting them with a marker and then you'll be scoring. It's quick, it takes you 30 to 40 minutes. It's very enjoyable with the drawing and everything, and like I said, it's a compact version of a game which mechanics I like because of the Tetris blocks and because of the puzzly element, and that's why I will keep this with me, because this is for me a travel version of Isle of Cats. So if you like cats, if you like the Isle of Cats, then you should take a look at Explore and Draw, just to take it with you whenever you feel like it. Let's put this away. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes right now. 5 boxes done. And the 2 next boxes, not only are they the heavyweights of writing games, or even roll and write games, because in one of those 2 games you roll dice, in the other you don't, you draw cards, but still, when it comes to writing on sheets and marking some blocks and everything, they're definitely the heavyweight of the games. And a lot of people I've noticed are comparing the 2 right now and putting them in comparison to each other, but I don't think that it's a fair comparison, because for me, personally, it's like apples and oranges, ladies and gentlemen. So the first one is Hadrian's Wall, and this is the Polish version. That's why the writing might seem weird to some of you, right? But Hadrian's Wall is definitely a favorite, or was definitely a favorite for me when it comes to heavyweight games that play quick and set up quickly. It's a roll and write game, or writing game. There you go, this is the rulebook. You've got those very large pads that every player has, and I'll just take them out, or one of them at least, very quickly, so as to show you what I'm talking about. Now take a look at this. So many, those white spaces, all of those white spaces are going to be filled in by you at some point, or potentially filled in by you. There are so many options and so many ways this could go and play out. And this is one of 2 pads that each player is playing on. So there are plenty of decisions, plenty of dependencies, plenty of strategies, and areas of focus for every player. The great thing for me, but not maybe for everybody, is that this game doesn't have a lot of negative interaction, and doesn't have a lot of interaction at all. Basically, every player draws a card during the round, or 2 cards. They get resources, they spend resources, they do a lot of stuff on their own sheets, not looking at what anybody else is doing really, and then the barbarians attack, and then rinse and repeat for 5 more rounds, because 6 rounds is the game. But for me, the attraction in this game is how quick it is and how dynamic it is, even when you are figuring it out solo or with other players, because you're just going like, okay, so I'm spending 2 stone right here, I'm marking this, and now I'm getting 1 worker, and now I can use this worker and this guy here, this soldier here, to mark this, and this gives me that, and this gives me that. It's a great engine builder, and if you figure out how it works, the satisfaction from building a self-propelling machine that by round 6 can generate twice more resources than you get initially in the beginning of the round is so satisfying, and it gives you a lot of pleasure figuring all of those dependencies out. So definitely something that I highly recommend to get interested in. And so Hadrian's Wall is definitely going to be one of my guilty pleasures. I'm going to be coming back to this game quite a lot, even if to play solo. There is a campaign mode right now for this game that you can use as well, apart from the normal solo mode. And, you know, it's definitely going to last you a long time. And it's a huge game in a small package that you can grab and set up on your table, and a lot of people who like heavyweight games, they will enjoy this quite a lot. Hadrian's Wall is back here right next to me, and right now behind it, over here, I don't know if you can guess what this box is, but this is the heavyweight contender that is supposed to, according to some people, push Hadrian's Wall out of the leadership in heavyweight writing games. And this is, yeah, you guessed it or not, Twilight Inscription from Fantasy Flight Games. And now Twilight Inscription took everybody by storm and by surprise when it was first announced, because this is a game set in the world of Twilight Imperium, which is the grand 4X strategy, the grandest one ever, 4th edition right now, and it's still one of the most popular 4Xs out there, and definitely one of the most expansive ones. Not expensive, but expansive, so like large and large scale. So many units around the table, every single gameplay, and so many wars and so many alliances and so many conflicts, right? How can you put something like this, the idea of Twilight Imperium, into a roll and write box? Turns out you can, and Fantasy Flight Games definitely delivered on this one. Now you can check my review on the channel, the full review of this game, when I'll be telling you in detail why I love it, but I will just tell you right now that when it comes to heavyweight games in the roll and write universe, this is probably the new king. Now, it's very quick to set up, surprisingly quick to explain the rules. Check out my how to play video on my channel as well. Probably explains faster than Hadrian's Wall. It's very daunting when you are looking at it for the first time, because this is only one sheet that you will be writing on in this game, and there are 4 for each player. This is another one. See how many spaces, how many different shapes you have to fill in. Check it out. This is the 3rd one. Right? So there are a lot of things that you are doing, and all of those sheets kind of trigger between each other, and then you have the nations and everything. And I like this game very much, and we've been playing it quite often right now. 2 players, 4 players. I've been playing it solo as well, and it's a very satisfying experience solo. So if you are looking for a heavyweight game that's very compact, that's quick to set up, that's good to play solo, and that's good to play multiplayer and hosts a high player count, 8 players here is the maximum, then Twilight Inscription is something that you definitely need to look at. So this is why it sticks on my shelf and will remain there for a longer period of time, definitely. So I'm at the half-hour mark of this video, and I wanted to make it 30 minutes, not longer right now, but I will mention just one game more, because those were 7 boxes. I told you in the beginning that there would be 8. And the 8th one is an honorable mention, because this is a new arrival, like 2 weeks ago, arrived at my doorstep, and I don't really know if it's a roll and write game or a draft and write game or anything like that, but you're still using markers and you're writing on some of the components of the game. So I put it in this place, and I also included it because it's from my favorite publisher. You can still buy it in their shop as well. It's still available as far as I know, so I really am very happy that they came out with a small title like that. They do heavyweight games all the time, and right now Mind Clash Games came out with Astra. Boom! And Astra is a tiny game in comparison to, well, Anachrony, Tricarion, Cerebria, whatever you take from Mind Clash games, basically Perseverance, oh my god. And this is a really tiny game about you guys discovering constellations and marking them with your colored markers on those cards, marking stars, marking connections, scoring points for those connections, gathering unique effects and passive abilities and scoring points, etc. Again, it's a very quick game to set up. It's a very quick game to explain to everybody. The entry threshold is very low, but the idea behind it, the whole setting of uncovering the stars and the pleasure of playing this game is quite high, and I very much enjoy it. And this is why this came out as kind of a guest feature on this video, just to mention that it exists and that you can get interested in that. Astra is coming here. I'm not getting any money from Mind Clash Games for advertising this or from any of the publishers. This is a complete pro bono work that I'm doing here for you guys. I'm not supported by anybody apart from your likes, subscriptions and notification bells. So I'm saying it honestly, then I think that Astra is definitely worth it. And if you like using markers to write on board game elements and then wiping them off, and you know, you enjoy constellations and stuff like that, then Astra, that's my box number 8 that stays in my house when it comes to the roll and write category. Okay guys, so the video is close to being finished. I would like to thank you if you stuck till the end of this video, and if you listened to me, I would like to thank you for doing just that. And as you can see, a lot of reasons for those games sticking on my shelf are very repetitive, and they are very similar. A good solo mode, a quick teardown and quick setup, easy to explain rules, or in the case of Hadrian's Wall and Twilight Inscription, the heaviness of the game in a small package. But also the compactness of most of those titles, the fact that we can carry them everywhere and that they deliver a high quality or a good quality experience of play wherever you take them and whip them out and play it with people. So this is why I started enjoying this genre of roll and write, of those compact games, and why I will be continuing to scour the internet, Board Game Geek forums and my local friendly board game shops for other titles that I will be able to add to my collection after I verify that they're really worth it in my book. And for now, this is it. Those are the 8 titles that I would like to mention to you very quickly. If you like this video, if you like what I'm doing here on this channel, if you like to support what I'm doing here, you can check out all the other videos. I have quite a lot of them right now, and more of them are coming on a weekly basis. And you know, like, subscribe and ring the notification bell. I will repeat it one more time. And if you have any other titles that you would like to suggest to me to try when it comes to this type of game, this type of genre, especially if they play solo well, according to you guys, I will be glad to check out your recommendations. And if I haven't done a video about those games yet, I will definitely try and do if I like those games and if I keep them in my collection. So thank you very much for watching once again. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are and whoever you are, and see you soon in another of my videos here on my channel. My name was Lone Vik. Those were 8 roll and write games that I love, and see you next time. Bye bye.